requests for bias videos on older Marshalls and other amps that use a single bias control to adjust either 2, 4, or sometimes 6 tubes, that we decided to do a generic one today. We're going to tear down an old 800. The same procedure could be used for just about any amp with an adjustable bias. So first thing we're going to do is take the amp out of the chassis. I've already taken the back off of this one. And I've taken out the 4 screws that hold the chassis of the amp into the box. Easiest way to do it is reach in, grab it by a transformer, give a little push on the face panel, and out it comes. So one of the first things we're going to do is clean the sockets. Some people will tell you it's kind of a waste of time. It's not. It's very important. And you can use the old tubes to do this. And it's good to do on the preamp tubes too. We'll just do the power tubes since we're dealing with bias. Use a little bit of Deoxit D5 or any kind of electrical contact cleaner or pot cleaner and run them in and out of the sockets 3-4 times. That'll clean it up. Get it wet again. Go to the next socket. Now we're going to use bias probes today. We're going to show you a couple of different kinds. We're going to use one part of a Weber probe that I've got here. Kind of a fancy guy. It's got 4 probes on it, a couple of 9-pin and a couple of 8-pin. We're going to use one of the 8-pin probes. And we're going to use one of these that we make here that just uses a regular multimeter with it. And we'll pop that one into the other socket here. And today we're going to throw a couple of KT77s in this guy. Those go in on top of the probe. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and stand this thing up, plug it in, turn it on, and we'll show you how to bias it in just a minute. Tubes have been heating up now for a couple of minutes, and we propped up the meters here so that you can see what's going on. We've got a speaker load, very important. Always have a speaker load on the amp. Got the AC coming in. So right now we're going to go ahead and show you where the trim pot is on the amp, and I'll point to it right here. And a plastic screwdriver. You can either use a plastic screwdriver or a metal screwdriver with a plastic handle on it. So now we'll go ahead and flip it up off of standby or on the play mode. See what our bias is. And looks like we're coming in right at 32 to 33, about 1 milliamp difference from probe to probe. That's awfully close. The plate voltage on this amp and a lot of 800s runs pretty low. We can check it easily with this one, and I'll show you how to check it later with a meter. It says 383 right now. So if we do a simple calculation and we take 25 watts worth of dissipation divided by the 383, that gives us a 65 milliamp not to exceed limit. That's 100%. So we're going to take 70% of that, which is 45.6 milliamps. And we're going to go ahead and adjust the bias up to 45. We're pretty close to it here. I think I can do it so you can see me do it. Okay, that's it. Now if we check our plate voltage again, we'll find out that as your bias current goes up, your plate voltage will fall down a little bit. So we were at 383, now we're down to 377. So if you ran that calculation again at 377, you'd come up with 66.3 times 70% is 46.4. So you can see that there's only not even a whole milliamp difference when your voltage changes like that. That's all there is to it. We've just adjusted the bias on the amp. So now what I'll go ahead and do is show you how to measure the plate voltage with a regular multimeter. What we're going to do now is go ahead and measure the plate voltage, DC voltage, with a multimeter. And here's a socket. And what we're going to do is there's a guide pin on the socket, and if you're looking at the bottom of it inside an amp, where the guide pin points to, if you count 3 pins around, that's pin 3. Everything runs clockwise from the bottom side of a socket. So we'll go ahead and show you the socket in the amp now, and we'll measure it. I like to grab a ground up off the chassis somewhere. And then I'll go ahead and show you where it is. You can see the guide pin on the socket pointing up here. It looks like it's about 1 o'clock. And we're going to count 3 pins over and then just go ahead and touch off, and that'll give us our plate voltage. There it is. 374. And the Weber says 375. Pretty close. Anyway, that's how you measure the plate voltage with a multimeter. This method that we've just shown you is going to work for Marshalls, 800s, 900s, Mark IIs, super leads, super basses. What you will find is that the Mark IIs, the 900s, the super bass, super leads are all going to run higher plate voltages. 900s will run 460, 480. Super basses, super leads up to about 520. Mark II is about 460 to 480. Depends on the amp. But even 20 volts different is only going to make about 1 milliamp difference in where you're going to bias the amp. This method is also going to work for carbons, B52s, Laneys, just about anything that you can think of where you can adjust the bias with one trim pot.